Thank you very much for the invitation to talk today. Thank you, Mehdi, for the intro. So, as mentioned, my name's Simon Berridge-Burley. I'm a product owner of our banking channel, Banking as a Service channel, at HSBC. And what I'd like to do today is to just talk to you mostly around the product that we've developed at HSBC. And we have live Banking as a Service customers, so we class ourselves as grown-up, a mature Banking as a Service channel. And I'd like to talk to you today about some of the trends that we see in the Banking as a Service space. And we can talk a little bit about the implementations that we have at HSBC. But just to wake you up from lunch, I've got a little video to kick things off. So let's just see if I can get that to play. Here we go. So, I love that video. It's a little bit more upbeat than the usual HSBC ones, and particularly that last tagline, the future of banking doesn't look like it used to. I think that's a really powerful message, and it's something that I'm going to echo in the speech today. So, maybe this is a bold statement to make to open the talk, but Banking as a Service could be the biggest change that the bank has seen in how it delivers its products and services over the last 150 years of its history. So what is Banking as a Service? I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with the topic in this room, but Banking as a Service in a nutshell is providing financial services via API connectivity that are directly integrated into third-party platforms. So that's the distributor, and then that API product and service is consumed by the end customer. So it's some concepts that we'll talk about a little bit today. The API provider, or the service provider, the distributor, and the end consumer. However, just providing the channel is certainly not enough to have a successful Banking as a Service implementation. The things that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here are also vitally important. So having those legal framework that you can build your relationship with your partners and your customers, it's different for how we have previously agreed our contracts within the bank in particular. And so that's not an insignificant part of delivering this channel. Having an efficient and transparent operating process, absolutely critical. Being able to support your partners in their implementation and see through incidents when things go wrong and take customer queries and complaints is different to how we would deal directly with our customers. So again, this needs consideration in the Banking as a Service implementation. The security in the way that we've built up our channel, it's a centralized service, and it has key components for identity, encryption, and other key facets to being able to communicate with the customers and the partner. And we'll talk about those a little bit today. And then lastly, an environment strategy. So we're very good at managing environments at HSBC, and we're very good at managing test facilities, but we're used to only using those ourselves internally within the bank. So this is a new use case for us to expose these test environments, these artifacts to external parties. And it's something that we've had to consider over the past 6 months that we've been working on this. In a nutshell, though, we are changing the way that clients access HSBC's banking services, and we're making them directly available in their banking systems, so where they manage their business. And we're providing this seamless integrated experience, which makes it much easier to consume our products and services. So this one, a little throwback. Shared banking services is actually not a new concept at HSBC. You'll all be familiar with Marks & Spencer Bank, which is a joint partnership between HSBC and Marks & Spencer, and of course First Direct, which is a branded bank within HSBC itself. So these are obviously retail propositions, but we have been working in this space across services and systems in the bank for many years. However, And what I'm here to talk to you today is we have seen increasing demand across our corporate clients. And I work in the wholesale bank, which spans the commercial bank and the investment bank. So the use cases I'll talk to you today are about how corporate clients are making use of our banking as a service facilities. Let's talk a little bit about the trends in banking as a service that are driving this demand. So we're all used today with our iPhones and our fully integrated experiences at home. We expect to have that degree of sophistication in some of our business systems as well. And I think this is helping to drive some of the demand that we see across our corporate customers. Treasurers, CFOs, they want to have that real-time access to data, and they want to have their banking embedded within their own systems. And they don't just want to use one product from the bank, they want to have access to an ecosystem of products. So we've been working across the wholesale bank to not only stand up the payments and account information, which is quite mature now and has been around for several years, but other products within the bank as well, such as trade finance, FX, and other products that are evolving in the bank, such as Global Money, our global wallet. It certainly helps the users, those customers, to drive efficiency within their business. Obviously, having the ability to automate processes can help remove those manual steps and automate reconciliations, make payment batches in real time. These are real-time saves, and they also reduce risk and a great bonus for our customers. Having that single point of operation also, not being forced to leave the platform and move into maybe a banking system or another secondary system, adds benefit, and it can enable the customer or the user of the banking as a service channel to be able to maximize the value that they have with their own in-house systems. And of course, all driven by API connectivity. That's why we're here today. We all have APIs. And that real-time access to data that API enables you to gain is a real game changer in some business situations. Obviously, open banking has been helping in this space for many years now, but we still see corporates going through a large amount of digitization, and they're really starting to see the benefits that they can gain through having access to that real-time data. Not only is demand coming from customers of the bank, clients of the bank, but also the industry around banking as a service. So the growth of fintech, big tech's desire to be able to offer financial services, and other interesting use cases that we see emerging outside of the usual tech and fintech. Companies need to partner with banks to offer these services, obviously to have access to the banking license, which underpins the products and services. And so we can work on the proposition and co-create some of these ideas and solutions together with fintechs and companies such as NetSuite, who I'll talk about shortly, to deliver the groundbreaking achievements that we've had with the latest go-lives. Obviously, banks are very good at managing the regulation around financial services. It's something we have to do on a daily basis. And the banking as a service channel provides access to those financial services, but without the need to get involved with the regulatory side of running the business. And then lastly, particularly for HSBC, the access to the global network. So we can process payments in 31 countries, and we can provide account information in 63 countries, I think. So this helps our large corporate multi-subsidiary companies to be able to manage their entire business through their in-house systems and not have to spread that connectivity and that process across multiple systems globally. The advances in technology are obviously also a driving factor here. So the rise of openness, obviously open banking topic today, it has established protocols for data sharing, for data access, for consent management. And although we don't use the same protocols within the corporate bank, those patterns that are established are certainly helpful. And we do look to reuse some of the systems and the processes that have been developed by our open banking teams. Undoubtedly, the banks have had to invest heavily over the past years in their IT infrastructure, driven by open banking plus other initiatives. But now we can see how we can actually use the infrastructure that we've built up over the past years to be able to develop these BaaS concepts and deliver these propositions to our customers. And lastly, we can't go without mentioning COVID. Unfortunately, the accelerated digitization that we've seen over the past 3 years has enabled our customers to be more ready to be able to accept and use these concepts. Maybe 5 years ago, their own internal systems weren't yet sophisticated enough to be able to have this degree of connectivity. We're now seeing a reversal in that trend where a lot of customers are approaching us directly. In that, I wanted to talk to you about the 3 key use cases that I see in banking as a service and embedded finance. And those 2 kind of terms are a little bit interchangeable. The first one, direct-to-bank customers. So we have hundreds of customers using our direct APIs and hundreds of millions of API calls being made every year to those channels. My particular department, we've established what we call the Treasury APIs. So that would be payments, account information, international payments, status inquiries, etc. This particular use case is where a corporate would approach us to benefit from the use of APIs. So maybe they want real-time connectivity, they want to automate some of their processes, or maybe they're just upgrading their systems and they want to future-proof their business. This will be a one-to-one connectivity between the bank and the corporate. And when I mean that one-to-one, in that they will have their own set of secure credentials, their own set of keys, their own set of encryption, etc. So we may be working with their platform. It's not always their in-house systems. They may be using a cash flow analysis system or something such as SAP. But again, we can connect our APIs up to those platforms and allow the customer to use the embedded functionality directly in their systems. The second category is what I'd class as the kind of pure banking as a service model, where we have an alliance partner in the middle. And this is relevant to the NetSuite use case that I'll talk about shortly, where the relationship is through the partner. So NetSuite have developed a concept that they call Suite Banking, and in that journey, the customer of NetSuite will digitally onboard to HSBC. So there's a digital application form. They will create a banking relationship, and they will gain a HSBC account and then be able to make payments, have virtual cards, and other products that we will soon release using that bank account through a single set of credentials that we manage with NetSuite themselves. And then lastly, the platform integration use case. So this is really where HSBC develops a particular capability with a partner or a service provider. A good example of this is the HSBC Trade Solutions that's recently been announced at Sibos, and that was built with CGI, and it's based on their Trade 360 platform. So again, this is a form of embedded finance, but it's where the bank is more involved in actually developing the underlying platform, and then we'll deliver those products digitally through that platform with the service provider. One of the direct-to-bank use cases I see is the ability to put apps in marketplaces. So this would be a single connectivity per customer for a particular platform. And we can see Oracle NetSuite here. We have just released a Suite app into their marketplace. We've also got live customers through Zoho Books in India. We're working with another large provider called Tally. And this is going to be a trend, I think, that will continue, where the bank can work with providers and platform vendors to be able to connect our APIs through a connector that we can release into their marketplace. This particular one offers bill payment functionality and also working capital loans, which is a trade finance product. So again, it gives us the platform to be able to offer that ecosystem of products that we know our customers want to have that flexibility and that access to. The real benefit from this app model is the setup is almost instant. It's so easy to be able to, as an existing to bank customer, download the app from the marketplace, configure it with the secure credentials that are provided by their HSBC contact. There's no file testing, there's no back and forth on formats. They can immediately start using the app, making payments, drawing down on their trade working capital credit facility, and other products that we can offer in the future. And this is a real step change and a real game change from where we've been with host-to-host connectivity that was maybe used previously for this type of integration. It would typically take between 6 and 8 weeks to be able to establish the correct protocols, have the files tested, do the degree of testing, booking our tested environments. We can do all of that configuration up front. So for the customer, the heavy lifting's done, they install the app and they can begin using the services immediately. Let's talk about the banking as a service model. And this is NetSuite Suite Banking. You can see the HSBC application form there on the screen. So this, I think, is a first for certainly corporate bank accounts, being able to digitally open a bank account through a partner application. We're all very familiar with opening our retail bank accounts online through banking apps, but certainly with business bank accounts and certainly corporate bank accounts, there's a lot more rigor and a lot more KYC and ID&V searches. Sometimes we have to do a site visit. So there's far more steps to being able to open a corporate bank account. So this is a real game change. This particular implementation uses a hypermedia API. So it's a conversational API. It's a series of questions which the user, through filling in the form, will provide the answers. They will supplement that with documentation, so tax documentation and identification documentation. That will be sent to us digitally through an API. They will then submit the application form, and that will begin the onboarding process within the bank. We then have the capability to send notifications, so status updates on that application, and hopefully the application is successful. We can then provide the bank account, the customer number, the routing numbers, etc. This particular proposition focuses around accounts payable. So it allows the customer to be able to either pay bills through their corporate bank account. And what I love about this proposition in particular is it's not a mandatory fact that the customer has to move all of their banking to HSBC. We're certainly not asking customers to leave their existing incumbent banks. What they can do is fund their Suite Banking account through a direct debit from their existing bank account, and then use the functionality within Suite Banking, and so it doesn't impact their existing current day banking arrangements. So again, the functionality on offer is a corporate payment and a credit facility using a virtual card, which is, again, stood up through a digital onboarding form, and the functionality is all provided through the NetSuite UI with the powered by APIs, HSBC's APIs underneath. So a little overview on the product architecture. I won't go too much into the technical detail. I know some of my colleagues from the architecture team are here today, so if you've got any questions, particularly any difficult questions, please save them for them. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the layers that we have within the proposition itself. So particularly for banking as a service, we've really tried to have a consistent layer of a security model and platform capability that can be used by all of the APIs and all of the partners that we will onboard onto this particular platform. It uses a concept that we call API passports for authentication and authorization. So a single set of credentials that the partner can access the APIs and the services through the gateway and the technical infrastructure, a crypto service to decrypt their message, identification services to ID the customer that they're contacting us about, and then controls as well to ensure that the partner is entitled to access that particular customer's business. That's all run through what we call our wholesale platform. It holds coarse-grained entitlements at the platform level. So again, we can check that the partner is entitled to use that particular service when they try and access the APIs through the gateway. If they're not entitled, they'll obviously, that call will be rejected. The fine-grained entitlement, so the actual product-level detail, is held in our fulfillment systems, which is our back office, and that's where payment types and other detailed entitlements that the customer holds is held at that level. On the common platform, we also have an event model, Kafka queue for managing the events and the transmission of events, a notifications engine with an outgoing API manager for retries, and facilities for document upload so it can support our onboarding application process. As I mentioned, the Forms API, the application API, uses a hypermedia type, so that conversational dynamic API, and that's something that we can extend for additional applications as the use cases come onto the platform. The rest of the APIs, as you would expect, are RESTful APIs, and they're building upon some of the existing capability that we have live with many of our customers across the bank already. So let's just, before I conclude, take you on a brief journey of what a future banking as a service environment could look like. We're really convinced that the developer experience is absolutely key in implementing a successful banking as a service channel. And so we're investing in our developer portal, our sandbox, our test facilities, our documentation, and some of the tooling that we have on our developer portal to make it easier to be able to start working with our APIs. It's something that we really spend a lot of time on, and we really appreciate feedback from our partners on this, as there's so many different use cases and combinations that you really need to support. I've been working with customers for 3 years now. Some of them are literally working with the sandbox the day they register on the dev portal, and they're sending thousands of calls down to the sandbox. Others need a little bit more help, some toolkits, accelerators, and so we're looking to be able to build out this suite of tools that can be used where appropriate, and we don't want to hinder those that don't need them. We see a digital marketplace of services. So as I mentioned, working with vendor platforms to be able to offer connectors and apps that will streamline the connectivity to our APIs on that particular platform. There may be, in future, HSBC-owned marketplaces. Maybe our developer portal will have third-party APIs on it. It's something that we're considering as a future extension. But having this hub of services is something that I definitely see is becoming a trend across the industry. Obviously, utilizing market-leading security is absolutely critical, number one importance in all of the API deliveries that we have, that they're secure, the fraud measures are in place, and they build upon the bank-level security that you'd all be used to expecting from HSBC. The access to real-time data, that ability to drive process, and we will see more and more innovative use cases being devised by our customers on how they can use our APIs in different ways. It never amazes me, it never fails to amaze me that our customers can come up with some great ideas on use cases that we've never considered on using our API products and services. Having that connectivity can obviously help embrace robotic processing, so AI, machine learning goes hand in hand with this particular proposition. Just a joke here, really. This isn't the kind of robot we're talking about, but as you get the topic. And then that ability to consume your data and drive more powerful insights, being able to manage your business intraday, manage your liquidity, manage your working capital, all based on real-time information powered by API superconnectivity. And that I really see as a compounding benefit, that ecosystem of services. API in itself really isn't a product, it's a connectivity. What we see is API combined with one or many of our products and services really adds a lot of value, and it compounds as the customer can embed that deeper into their own ecosystem. And then that real-time connectivity really putting the customer at the heart of all of this innovation so that we can help them grow their business and support them on their journey. Okay, hopefully that was within time. That's the end. So thank you very much.
Thank you. 1, 2, 1, 2. Thank you very much. We have time for one question from the audience. One question without an S. One question from the audience. Yep, here.
Thanks for that. That was great. Obviously, the key features that these partners can get access to facilities that you can offer because of the banking license. How do you manage your kind of conduct risk of selling those services? And does the APIs help you do that, or do you need to go beyond that?
Beyond that, I think. So that's what I mean on, I think it's the second slide in. The technical connectivity is actually only one part of the equation. It's the supplementary services, the operating model, the operations teams that need to be able to be in place. And frankly, they're not used to managing the business in this way. So we've had to go back and retrain some of our staff, set up new services, set up a new sector, in fact, to be able to manage this new business and the new way that we can receive new customers into the bank in such a way.